This is Sybert signing into Red Alert 3 on the map Battle Base Beta for the win 71 Winners Bracket Finals. This is a double elimination tournament in the top right-hand corner. As the Purple Soviets, this is DDF. In the bottom left-hand corner as the Yellow Empire, you know and love him, this is Dimon. A double elimination tournament. We're going to be taking a look at the Winners Bracket Finals, the Loser Bracket Finals, and then, of course, the Grand Finals. And with most double eliminations, this has the potential to go to an extended series, depending on how the Winners Bracket, Losers Bracket turns out. So we got ourselves a classic EVS. We've been seeing... Oh, he gets the engineer! I didn't think he was going to get the engineer, but DDF picks up the engineer kill. Anyways, let's get back to the War Factory first kind of action that we're seeing out of these guys. Anyways, this is a double elimination tournament, and we're going to be taking a look at this first best of 5, and then a best of 3 for the losers bracket, and then, of course, Grand Finals is going to be a best of 7 with potentially maybe another best of 7 on the end of that. It just says the winner has to be defeated twice, so it doesn't actually say if the extended series is best of 7, best of 5. We're going to find out ourselves when we get there, if it is necessary. Now, Dimon normally playing Soviets, but of course playing Empire in this case to avoid a mirror matchup. And as you can see, that's how the middle of the map shook out this particular game. Now, just a little bit of context for you guys, since we've been watching some Sickles and some Terror Drones run around the map. DDF came through this tournament defeating Queen Oni in a 2-0 in the Winners Bracket semifinals. Similarly, Dimon 2-0'd Andri in the Winners Bracket semis, and before that, he 2-0'd Happy all the way back in round 1. So Dimon having a pretty good tournament this time around, defeating Happy in round 1, which is a pretty impressive opponent, and then defeating himself Andri in the semis. So two of the bigger names there. I know Vindy's also showed up for this. I don't think he made it very far, but he also could still be rusty. Who knows? A little bit of harassment going on in the top right-hand corner. Looks like a sentry is going to be going down trying to protect the middle part of these harvesters, and that Tengu may actually be stuck back there at the current moment. He may have to kind of transform to get out of there. Super Reactor going to be going down at the expansion. Harvester taking a little bit of damage from the honorable discharge. But for now, just harvesters off the line. No real problems for these guys. So no harvesters going down, just lost mining time. Oil Derrick taking a little bit of damage. Sickle going for the harass. Going to be able to do a little bit of damage to this ore collector, and may also force that guy off the line. Going to force him to drive away for a little while. Third refinery up and running for both DDF and Dimon. Even using the reactor to help make the wall off there a little more robust. Super reactor up and running, so the War Factory down on the low ground. Going to start producing hammer tanks there. Sickle unable to get the kill on that harvester. Going to be walking up to the high ground, keeping an eye on this potential 4th refinery expansion as the Oil Derrick does go down. So DDF gets the kill there. And not going to be letting his opponent get any extra cash that he... any extra cash for free over the course of this game. So going to be cutting off that potential supply. Chopper VXs are out, so we're into the Tier 2 for both of these players, which means lots of War Factory action potentially on the way. Battle Base Beta. We always, not always, but when we see a nice water expansion, we sometimes see one player draft also a naval yard to try and get things going. Maybe a couple of Yari mini-subs just to make sure that DDF doesn't expand to the water. But for now, DDF is going all land, all high ground, and his MCV also missing in action all the way down here. Going for a sneaky expand or something, gets caught by 3 Chopper VXs. Bullfrogs on the way to deal with that. Tengu does get sniped by those hammer tanks, and the Bullfrogs going to be forcing the Chopper VXs away. So no real opportunity for the Chopper VXs to stand up against those 2 Bullfrogs. They would just get microed to death, and the Choppers would go down. Choppers staying a little bit off of the high ground there, just to make it a little bit safer for them. They're going to step forward. 3 Bullfrogs could try and catch them out, but no. They will escape for now. MCV set up in the middle. Engineer gets the cap for full health. And no fourth refinery yet for our Empire friend, Dimon. He is going to get some good DPS on this ore collector. He's going to have to try and transform to get on out of there. A couple of hammer tanks here to get the kill, and this is a full surround pretty much for these Tengus. If they transform at this point, the Bullfrogs almost certainly will get both kills, and yes, they do. They crash to the ground, so that's 3 Tengus for the price of basically some lost mining time. DDF hasn't quite told that guy to get back to work just yet. Chopper VX is going to be catching this MCV. Good eyes by Dimon, but it's not enough to really make up for the fact that he just lost those harvesters. And by harvesters, I mean Tengus in that harvester harass. But what will make up for it is a 4th refinery, having that eco over his opponent. And of course, keep in mind that the oil derrick does reside on the side of DDF in this particular game. Sniping an MCV would also be a really nice gift in this game. Walls are coming down, so this is Mr. Trump's island, is what you could call it. As Donald Trump would love this game, as we all know. He's a big fan of walls, and apparently so is Dimon in a couple of the games that we've seen of him. Fortunately for Dimon, this refinery is going down. Back on the other side of the map, Bullfrog's going to be able to take down these Chopper VXs, snipes all 3 of them, trades them out for 1. Hammer tank does a little bit of damage to the war factory, but not enough to make it worth it. Barracks going to be going down, so he spent a grand repairing and healing, which apparently equals harvesting this MCV, which I guess he's, you know, lost a little bit of cash on the barracks as well, building those and then, I guess, selling them off. 4th refinery going down, very unfortunately there for Dimon. Scooting over here with some more Chopper VXs, 3 more in a hit squad. He's going to have to deal with these hammer tanks at his front door, even a terror drone mixed in, and just nothing that Dimon has really tried has been O2 successful. Whereas DDF, on the other hand, he's been a little bit more slow-moving. He did have the sickle harass and the terror drone running around earlier in the game, but he never really committed heavy to any harassment strategy. Instead, he's just been looking for that straight-up engagement, getting the kill on 1 refinery, and even... Ooh, I don't know that he's going to be able to save that super reactor. Looks like there's 2 Bullfrogs here. They are a little bit low on HP, so one of them does have the potential to be sniped if DDF isn't paying attention, and that was getting dangerously low, that super reactor. The refinery does still stand, and actually this one hammer tank, is it going to try and leech down the refinery? No, I think he's just going to sacrifice himself to make sure that he gets the kill, so down to just the 2 refineries for Dimon. Very unfortunate for him. 4th refinery going up on the land. Doesn't want to try and contest out on the sea. 1 Bullfrog will be going down to this Tengu before the hammer tank shows up to run defense for these guys. And actually the Tengu is just going to commit to the try to get the kill. And DDF good enough to not let that guy get any honorable discharge splash damage on his hammer tank. Sentry gun going to take some damage, and again, always about the harassment with Dimon. Never about the straight-up engagement. Ever since losing those Tengus, he's really been down in a straight-up army fight. He does have enough tsunami tanks to potentially take a favorable engagement, but if DDF keeps all of his forces together, then I think that's going to be a little bit more difficult. If he's able to capture some of DDF's forces a little bit split up, or force them to take to kind of split themselves up, then there's definitely some potential for those tsunami tanks to just simply overwhelm and crush through the hammer tanks. In this particular case, we got 1 hammer tank, which may be kind of given away for free here by DDF. Now this Tesla Trooper is going to be moving in to try and go for the lockdown and then the kill, as these tsunami tanks are suddenly finding themselves surrounded, unable to go back because of the threat of the Tesla Troopers, but unable to really go forward safely. 1 Twin Blade is going to show up and will be able to snipe and kill some of these tsunami tanks as they try and run away, even if they go onto the water. 1 more hammer tank going to be here for the kill, and this is so many army losses for Dimon. Even gets 2 Chopper VXs almost for free, gets 2 Tengus as well. The army of Dimon evaporates, and that is it for him. DDF in total control that game, never giving an inch. Now, of course, that's just game number 1 in this best of 5. So, Dimon has a chance to bring things back, as you can see, neck and neck, slightly faster, 3rd and then 4th expansion, but of course it got knocked down pretty quickly. So DDF able to keep things even, and then eventually overtake Dimon there, and just far superior army engagements by DDF. So we'll have to see how things shake out in game number 2. Which takes us to Cabana Republic. And the last time we saw these guys meet on Cabana Republic, it was a pretty epic game. On the left side, as the Yellow Empire, this is Dimon. On the right side, as the Purple Soviets, this is DDF. Up 1-0 in this series, and looking good in every single engagement in that last game. I think he maybe only lost like one harvester in the entirety of that game. Got himself a couple of nice, solid refinery kills for his opponent, though. Cabana Republic, totally different map. I mean, easy enough to say that, but in terms of just how this game plays out, you do have a much bigger kind of an area, and honestly, it feels like a lot more of this can play out over the edges, where Battle-Based Beta feels a lot more centered, especially when DDF, like in that last game, was deciding to just go for all ground. He didn't go water at any point. He wasn't interested in splitting his army money across two different places. He instead was just only interested in sticking to the ground. This, I feel like we see a little bit more split around the north side of the map, especially with these two expansions up here being such a central location for most games, to have at least part of it be about that northern expansion area. Oil derricks get grabbed for both of these guys, so no sneaky plays from either one. Of course, an attempt by this Dojo Corps to get something done there, but DDF is too good for that. And once again, looks like it was War Factory first to get that early terror drone out, and then in the sickle, just like the same game. Pretty close to a mirror in between Game 1 and Game 2 for DDF. And the MCV on the move a good bit sooner, of course, with a kind of further away third refinery location from Dimon, and even going to be sticking his Mecha Bay up there. So this is basically undefended, which again, so much of what we see on Cabana Republic involves armies in this kind of middle area, but Dimon in this particular game is saying, no way, I'm just going to hang out up here in the north. Going to drop the Mecha Bay. Flak Trooper could get the kill on the Oil Derrick again, just kind of mirroring that last game. Terror Drone actually gets the infect on this Dojo Corps, so goodbye Dojo Corps, unfortunately there. Unfortunately for Dimon, he's not going to get any actual value out of that Dojo Corps. DDF going to get the kill on this Oil Derrick, which again, just like last game, it adds up bit by bit. Not a big deal at first, but it starts to add up over the course of the game, losing that income early. There's going to be the jump in there, but Tengus are going to be here to try and keep this safe. No, a second sickle does show up with a terror drone, so it's going to be two sickles versus now two Tengus. The micro is good enough by DDF, going to be able to lock that Tengu down. And unfortunately for Dimon, this other guy was just hanging out, not really doing any damage. Now it's going to be 3 against 2, and this should be enough to turn the tide. Can he actually get the snipe on that terror drone? No, he can't. The terror drone constantly staying just barely out of range. Perfect control pretty much there by DDF, and this sickle is getting as much value as you could possibly hope for a sickle to get, especially in this sort kind of scenario. This is a lot of lost mining time. He's actually going to jump in there and do a bit more damage to this harvester. He won't get the harvester kill, but he gets it oh so low on HP, and the second guy, even more lost mining time by DDF. This is almost unfair how much he just did with those two sickles and that one terror drone. Now, fortunately for Dimon, he was able to keep most of his Tengus alive. I think he only lost the one Tengu. He just had to send the other one home for repairs. So a lot of lost mining time. And for now, the harvesters are back to work. The walls are back up, and DDF's terror drone won't have any more easy damage to do. Hammer Tank's heading north, Super Reactor up and running, and it is going to be a Tengu harass up there. So a couple of Bullfrogs being added on after that. And one Tengu is going to go for the harass. He can't stick around for too long. He might have to sacrifice himself if he wants to get the damage done on this Ore Collector. Ore Collector not going into that reactive armor mode, so we'll take a bit more damage. And no, it looks like the Mecha Tengu is just going to transform and get on out of there, which good thing for him that Bullfrog didn't head up north. 3 Tengus in the south going to be going for a bit of harassment, and this Hammer Tank has walked himself all the way across the other side of the map. A Chopper VX is going to be able to deal with that without too much trouble. Bullfrogs pushing away these Tengus in the south, and this Chopper VX is going to be able to deal with this Hammer Tank. Going for the Hammer Tank first, which means DDF is going to, I assume, try and go for the Infect there on that Harvester, but I guess the Harvester is in just the perfect spot to not actually be able to be infected. So the Tengu, or the Terror Drone does go down. The Sickle goes down as well, and DDF uses the cashback to get a little bit of value out of those units. Harvester on the rebuild, and was a very low health Harvester, so that one is a little bit less of a loss in that particular case. There's the transform. Bullfrog gets both of them. So that's 2 Tengus for the price of a Harvester, and the replacement Harvester is most of the way done already. So there's the airfield being added on for DDF. We see the defense out of him is good pretty much every single way. And the advanced rocket pods upgrade, or I guess kind of ability being activated there. Tesla coil and a flak cannon going down at refinery number 4. So trying to keep this MCV safe, trying to keep this location safe. Doesn't want just like a single Yari mini sub or a single Naginata. Naginata? Yeah, Naginata or Naginatana is the more fun way to say it. Doesn't want a single Empire. Ooh, sneaky Dimon. Doesn't want a single Empire naval unit to be able to call that in and just get the kill. Assume Desolator Airstrike going to be coming in to try and stop that infantry from getting any further. And yeah, he's going to poison that area, which just forces the infantry to have to run around. A couple of Chopper VXs mixed into this army for Dimon, going to get him a little bit extra firepower. And this Bullfrog getting a lot of free damage considering how low on HP it is. Might actually get a kill on one of these choppers. No, they do both manage to escape. And the MiG's actually here to take a bit of damage from the choppers as they go for the transform. Bears coming out here to try and deal with these tank busters. Tank busters getting the kill, or the Tengu rather, getting the kill on that Bullfrog, which means things are a little bit clearer for the escape when these guys transform. Even the Chopper VXs could potentially get out of here if they're able to keep that MiG at bay. Another Bullfrog now going to be showing up, but the high ground is now controlled by Dimon. So now that he's got a foothold with the Tengus here running anti-inf, it's going to be hard for the, well, that's 2 hammer tanks, so they may actually be able to bust up there. It's not that many tank busters in this building, and Dimon is now going to be looking at an exit strategy. Oh, if he's able to get the kill on the MiG, that's part 1, but this Bullfrog is here to do a little bit of damage to the Tengus, gets the kill on both of the Chopper VXs, so that's a lot of cash down the drain. The harassment was successful in some sense. I mean, also forcing a couple of extra buildings to go down. I'm not sure if he's actually lost any of the barracks or if they were just canceled, in which case it's not really cash down the drain, but this tank buster getting the kill on the Harvester is about as good as Dimon could ask for, given how messy that engagement became, with the hammer tanks on the low ground, the Bullfrogs and the MiGs providing a desperate opportunity for escape, and basically only the Tengus were able to escape from that little quadrant of death. MCV on the pack-up, there's no reinforcements nearby. They're coming over from the main base, a couple of hammer tanks and a terror drone, but of course hammer tanks don't do very good at shooting up. So these Chopper VXs have an opportunity to engage safely, but no, Bullfrogs are here, and really it's the flak cannon which was saving that MCV. So DDF has an opportunity there, but almost lost his MCV just to that much DPS. Got to be careful. Harvester once again off the line, so it's 4 refineries for DDF, but only 3 of them are really harvesting at any one time, and this one ore collector being driven away. Hammer tanks so slow to respond, and unlike that last game where DDF had the units in the right place to deal with the harassment pretty much every single time, this time because Dimon is hitting over here and then back up here, it's so much further for those hammer tanks to try and drive that distance. It's so much harder for their mobility challenged Soviet forces to get around with the defense, which is why the MiGs are a crucial part of this defense for DDF. And for right now, defense is definitely the right word. He has not been able to get onto Dimon's side of the map in several minutes. And long enough that this oil derrick has probably paid for itself. Of course, you don't get the cash back on the recap, but he's had this oil derrick for so long. That's how penned in his base DDF has been, that he's probably got enough cash back for that. It looks like a bear going for the scout, the bear that probably killed that tank buster on the other side of the map. And this is so many Tengus that Dimon has been able to create. It looks like another Tengu maybe did go down there, but it kept that ore collector offline for a little bit longer. It opened up a little bit of space for a big transform here to go for the MCV. A Tesla coil is great, but keep in mind with the point defense drones, it's 2 shots to kill a Tengu, and this is so many Tengus out on the water with a perfect surround of this MCV. A great tactical move by Dimon, and now it's just into the escape, and once he's far enough away from the Bullfrogs, he has the opportunity to also escape the MiGs, as this Twin Blade is the only thing really stopping him, and he's actually going to engage over the flak cannon, so a little bit of extra DPS. He's going for the kill on 2. 3 of the MiGs do go down. All 4 get eliminated. The Bullfrogs not here to help. They were trying to react to something in the north, and it looks like that Harvester does survive, albeit barely, and the Chopper VXs also make the escape, so pretty much perfect execution there by Dimon. A great kind of diversion, splitting up the forces and getting his own 4th refinery on the field behind that, which is exactly what he needs. He's also going to be sending out a Naval Yard just to make sure that Terror Drones don't have an easy time of dealing with that one Harvester. 4 Hammer Tanks there, 3 Bullfrogs here. It's a pretty strong force, but it just can't find an open angle to engage. Dimon has been playing this game. Oh my gosh, he got the... I cannot believe that he got that infect like that. That is... I was very annoyed because in theory, you know, that many Tengus should kill a Terror Drone long before it gets close, but he was so on top of that when with it transformed directly over top of that Terror Drone. One Twin Blade here to provide a little bit of harassment, but it's a weird combination of Chopper VXs and Twin Blade's going to be trying to engage this. There's the transform for the Chopper VX is going to be getting the kill on 1 MiG. The last MiG rather, not the second MiG, but the last MiG does manage to escape, almost forcing another complete reset of this airfield. MiGs going down all over the place in this game, and still this oil derrick controlled by Dimon. Chopper VX is transformed. They escape on out of there. They're going to get themselves some heals, and this is 5 refineries up and working for Dimon. So he's done much better with the harassment this time. He killed the MCV of his opponent, which he can of course rebuild, as we're seeing here, dropping a second airfield, but that ties up the war factory for I think a solid minute while that MCV is being rebuilt. And of course the cash down the drain doesn't feel good either. There's a big transform with the point defense drones, and of course with this many Tengus, ordinarily wouldn't want to engage Hammer Tanks, but when you've got this many numbers over top of your opponent, and the Twin Blades are just next to useless as they get annihilated pretty much instantly by those 4 Chopper VXs. And I mean, 3 Hammer Tanks is not enough to take on that many Tengus with point defense drones. Normally in a 1-to-1, you don't want Tengus punching it out with Hammer Tanks, but in this case, Hammer Tanks just not enough power to take out that many Tengus. Goes for the Tier 2 on the Naval Yard, goes for the Tier 2 on the Mecha Bay, so he's actually going to be producing Tsunami Tanks 2 at a time from both locations. That is how rich Dimon is right now. Double airfield is great, and if you've got a ton of Twin Blades and a ton of MiGs, that can work, but in this game versus Dimon, that is a bad strategy to be going for in the long term. Dimon is too good to let that kind of a strategy really work for very long at all. Which means once we get double Tsunami Tank production, and ooh, giving away a Hammer Tank here because the MiGs aren't quite in perfect position, and it doesn't even matter because there's way too many Tengus. It did not matter. Those MiGs got wiped out. And my gosh, what a reversal, Game 1 to Game 2. A totally different Dimon in each one. Libra just manhandling Dimon in Game 1 and smashing him to bits. Dimon couldn't get his feet under him. And then this game, Dimon with all the space, with the appropriate army composition in total control, evening things up 1-to-1. Where are things going to be going in game number 3? I don't know, but I am excited to see that match. Which takes us to Fire Island, and in the top right-hand corner as the Purple Soviets, this is DDF. Currently 1-1 against this guy in the bottom left-hand corner, the Yellow Empire. This is Dimon. And yeah, it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to keep introing players, you know, Game 3, Game 4, Game 5 in a series. It's not like anyone has forgotten in the last 8 seconds since the last game, but it's something that everyone does, and I don't know why everyone does it, but we all do it, and we're all going to continue to do it, even though it's not really necessary. So we've seen a great 1-to-1 in this series. Now we're on Fire Island, which I don't know if it still is, but I feel like this was one of those maps that everyone was okay with. Like, Infinity Isle, people didn't like, I guess people didn't like playing allies on any map, but Infinity Isle, it felt like people kind of got tired of that one because it was overplayed so much, and Fire Island was like the cool Infinity Isle, where like it was played not as much as Infinity Isle, but everyone kind of agreed it was a good map like Infinity Isle. And though, yeah, I know a lot of people don't like playing versus fast airfield on Infinity Isle because the air rush distance is just so close. These bears trying desperately to avoid this dojo and avoid those. They're actually going to get the kill. So once again, every kind of second that this gives an opportunity for our, well, actually no, Dimon's got the oil derrick in the south. So this is really only just delaying the engineer from DDF from being able to grab this oil derrick. I was thinking that DDF had managed to grab the oil derrick in the south, in which case the delay would be on Dimon's side, but in this case, Dimon is the one in control. He's the one with the actual oil derrick under his belt. Mecha Bay now out on the field. War Factory going to be going up after the two, well, actually after the super reactor, more so than just the two refineries. So he's going War Factory about as late as you can go War Factory. I don't think I've seen anyone realistically go War Factory after third refinery in a normal 1v1. Maybe if they're playing like 40k credits or something, I don't know. But yeah, super reactor down before the War Factory. Could be a hammer tank as the first thing popping on out for DDF. But for now, 2 oil derricks into the pocket of Dimon. Whether or not that actually affects him, that has to feel good to be coming out of the gate with that, with the cashback, but also just with those 30 credits coming your way. Even going to be getting a block on the third refinery, gives you a little bit of vision, gives you the peace of mind of knowing, you know, you've got a pretty good idea of when his third refinery is going down. My gosh, this is just kind of silly. All of the stuff that Dimon is doing. He's got a great placement of that barracks. He's got a wall segment going down in an extremely annoying place. Looks like he doesn't quite have enough cash to finish off those wall segments, but he's got his own third refinery up and activated, so things are just coming up Dimon. In this game, everything's coming up Dimon. Forcing your opponent to go for a couple of flak troopers, which, you know, not like forcing flak troopers is a big deal by any stretch of the imagination, but, you know, because flak troopers are just generally useful, but I was really worried that that Imperial Warrior was actually going to get the kill on the flak trooper, but no, the Terror Drone was there, so DDF is in that kind of a situation. He is safe in that regard, and this one Bullfrog going to be showing up, and actually that was something that I have not seen. I don't remember if I have ever actually seen that. Leeching a Bullfrog as it's about to die so that you can try and get the add-on for your hammer tank. That's pretty sick by DDF. And DDF has now cleared away his third refinery location. But as you saw, that was like Mecha Bay into immediate Tier 2. We hardly even saw a Tengu. I don't actually know if a Tengu was produced on this map before there was Tier 2. And the Chopper VX gives its life, but it does get the kill on that Bullfrog. So just trying to keep those Bullfrog numbers down is actually going to be pretty nice for Dimon. And unlike the last game, where killing that oil derrick would have meant something more, this is like such, well, the last 2 games where killing that oil derrick early would have meant something more. Killing the oil derrick and capturing the other one, it means so much less in this particular game, especially because he just delayed that third refinery even more. This is almost kind of turning the tables. This is almost unfair how much Dimon is able to do in this early game. Potentially going to be even grabbing that oil derrick back from DDF. He's going to get, no, he doesn't get the kill on that Terror Drone. He gets the infect, but certainly this one Tsunami Tank is going to be able to get the repairs, so that Terror Drone won't get the kill. Delaying the third refinery that much, recapturing the oil derrick, getting the kill on the Harvester in the north, which, okay, maybe it took him a while to actually get the kill, but now almost certainly he is going to get the kill with the Honorable Discharge firing off in just a couple of seconds there. And actually, he might get the kill before the Honorable Discharge goes off. So this, yeah, it almost feels unfair the way Dimon has gotten just like inside of DDF's head, the way he just pushed him back. He's got his dojo up on the middle of the map. He's got 5 Tsunami Tanks now with point defense drones. Things are just coming up Dimon. It feels like he can go any direction he wants. It feels like he's got every opportunity before him. And I mean, he's got tank busters here, which are going to help him deal with that terror drone. They're going to help him deal with the hammer tanks. They're going to help him deal with the bullfrogs. Just like everything is coming up Dimon. And it looks like he will be losing that oil derrick, but ooh, that is not a heavy price to pay for Dimon in this case. Even another Tengu going for a bit of harassment. It looks like there was some harassment happening here earlier, but the ore collector is at about 3/4 health, so it doesn't look like too much really happened there. Just some lost mining time, which, given all of the other downturn economic factors that DDF has gone through, lost mining time probably means more to him in this game than in any of the previous couple of matches that we've seen. And this is, of course, the pace setter for these guys. When you're up 1-1 or you're 1-1 in a series and everything is kind of reset, you don't want to be the one dropping that game, being on match point and having to come back perfectly from that point. Now, 3 hammer tanks on the right side. They're not going to be here when the tsunami tanks get here, but the MCV is. Now, of course, that MCV was moving over to the water, trying to get a water expansion up and running. Imperial Warriors not going to be going for the kill on the terror drone. Instead, they were trying to clear out the bears. They were unfortunately not able to clear out the bears, and one tank buster will go down. The second one gets eliminated as well, and that one tsunami tank did go down. Now, keep in mind, on the back end, more lost mining time. It looks like the Tengus are going down, so they're not actually getting the kills on the harvesters, but that's lost mining time, which isn't a huge deal in a normal game, but when you're at an economic disadvantage for the entirety of the game, lost mining time has to feel like an eternity. Again, 4th refinery delayed even more. Although this harvester has no defense in terms of no free repairs of the naval yard. And point defense drones just expired, but they were reapplied before the actual engagement happened. Now this is 5 hammer tanks out here, potentially a 6th one going to be on the way as well. They're going to get some free damage on this power plant. Ooh, Desolator airstrike going to be dropped on that ore collector, so that's going to be annoying. But Tsunami Tank's going to be pressing on forward, and that's 1 hammer tank down, and the terror drone going to be stopping this attack in its treads, I guess. But that's going to be just very frustrating to deal with. Harvester way off the line, so these Tengus can try and deal with that terror drone. But for now, the terror drone will be pulled away, and this harvester off the line, getting repairs, not harvesting, while the 4th refinery is finally going up for DDF. One good engagement could definitely put DDF back into an advantage kind of a position. Tsunami Tank's going to be moving in. There are no Chopper VXs for support, so this Bullfrog is sitting there doing nothing. All of the DPS is just on the ground for Dimon, but great roars locking these tank busters out from this engagement. This attack would look very different if those 4 or 5 tank busters had been firing off this entire time. Good micro by Dimon, going to be pulling back the weakened Tsunami Tanks, trying to go for a little bit more harass with that Tengu and getting a little bit of splash damage with that honorable discharge as DDF drives his tanks too close to the exploding Empire units, pressing further forward, and this column of infantry could deal with these bears, but if the roars are good, no, they're not, which means the pressure will continue because hammer tanks are good, but hammer tanks versus tsunami tanks with tank busters backing them up are going to have so much of a harder time trying to go for the crushes, I'm guessing, to dissuade those bears from actually being able to attack. But now it's all tank busters all the time as this one hammer tank is going to get leached to death by this one tsunami tank, rather, going to get leached to death by the hammer tanks. Imperial Warriors coming in for the reinforcement, but the tank busters are getting eliminated one by one. It's the tech up to tier 3 that Dimon has bought himself time for. And no, the terror drone does not get the snipe, which means these hammer tanks are going to be walking into just infantry, kind of a death march as they head towards King Oni there as well. And these bears, they are good, but they're not good at killing wave force artillery. And when wave force artillery is pretty much the thing that you've got to contest with, bears may not be the right choice. Trading out that entire tsunami tank army ended up being worth it because it bought him enough time to get King Onis, to get wave force artillery out on the field. Tesla coils are nice, but they are nothing compared to the range of those wave force. Now that is one potential weak spot, of course, with no anti-air infantry out on the field for Dimon. He does have to deal with twin blades, and it looks like point defense drones will barely be able to save that wave force artillery. And the twin blade also does escape, so he can potentially come in from another angle, but I don't think there's a crane out here for those repairs. Airfield getting reestablished out on the water, so he wants to have a place for those MiGs to land. Chopper VX trying to keep this wave force artillery safe, but no, it is not able to stay alive as the twin blade does barely manage to escape. And ooh, trying to coat these King Onis in toxins as these terror drones keep them locked down, and this Chopper VX is going to be potentially sacrificing itself to get the kill on that extremely low health Twin Blade as the barracks goes down in the north, but it is not going to be enough. And I'm going to go ahead and guess that DDF was the one who dropped out of that game, that Dimon was going to be able to take that for a 2-1 lead in this best-of-5 series, putting himself in the match point position and giving him the opportunity to potentially close this series out with a 3-1 score. But let's see what happens in game number 4, which takes us to Infinity Isle. On the left side, as the Yellow Empire, this is Dimon. On the right side, down 1-2, is the Purple Soviets. This is DDF. DDF in that last game did not feel good. DDF in game number 2 did not feel good, but he felt better in game number 2 than he did in game number 3. Game number 3, he was trailing so hard. So hard, in fact, that I didn't even realize that Dimon had bought himself enough time to get out of mainframe, go up to Tier 3, and produce Wave Force artillery. Not something you see very often, but a great play by Dimon. Ooh, early on the roar. Unfortunate for that bear. Going to get chased by 2 Imperial Warriors, going to be able to outrun one of them. 3 Imperial Warriors, 4 Imperial Warriors even. Oil derrick grabbed for both of these guys. All the pressure is on DDF. Look at him killing that civilian structure. He doesn't want Dimon to have the opportunity to use that against him. War Factory before Second Refinery. In the previous games, we've seen DDF use terror drones, use sickles to try and gain some early control. And of course, the jump is pretty close on this map. You got the jump into your potential opponent's base. So always some fun to see if sickles can do anything there. There's the Tengu with the transform, going to be flying over to DDF's side of the map, but he has already packaged a lovely flak trooper inside of each refinery. Going to be keeping them safe. And the sickle took a lot of damage, but it did finally clear out all of those Imperial Warriors. And it is definitely potentially going to be worth it to invest in a crane, especially up here on the high ground, just for those repairs, if nothing else. Sickle going to be going for the harass of this Harvester. Going to be trying to face off against a Tengu and won't quite be able to get it, but he does go for the jump into that expansion and gets sniped. So Harvester can get back to work now. And this flak trooper, he's going to get the kill on the Tengu if he just hangs out there, but the Tengu may be trying to... Nope, the Tengu's going to get out of there as well. I'm going to say the Tengu may be trying to sacrifice himself for to get the kill on the flak trooper, and actually he will barely get the kill on the flak trooper just as he explodes, as the mine time was pretty much perfect. Now, Super Reactor out here on the water. Could be trying to use that for some kind of a slow base creep over to that expansion. Hammer Tank's now out on the field. He's going to be able to deal with those Tengus a little bit more easily. And of course, one Tengu being sacrificed every time to try and get a little bit more damage on this Harvester is extremely annoying. But if Dimon decides that that is going to be a cost-effective solution for him, then he probably has something planned for that. So he is going to get some nice damage off on this Ore Collector, keep it from harvesting for a little while, but ultimately it's not going to be a traditionally successful harassment there. He does get quite a bit of damage there, but he is also, I guess, buying himself time. He's up to Tier 2 on his Mecha Bay. He's getting his own third refinery up and running. Bear going to be hanging out in the water, going to be trying to scout and see exactly what the timing of a potential water expansion is. And of course, you always want to know if your opponent is going for a water expansion, because you want to keep an eye on what their exact economic situation is, but also if there are any lovely, lovely harassment opportunities. A couple of Stingrays, maybe some Twin Blades over there. Ooh, free Hammer Tech. No, the Bullfrog is here to run defense, and once again, Chopper VX is just going to be hanging out and killing the... Oh, he got it this time. So he missed it the first time in Fire Island. I almost called it Flak Island. But he got the Flak Cannon this time. So this Chopper VX basically isn't going to be able to escape because the anti-air range on those Bullfrogs is so crazy long. And actually, this Terror Drone doesn't get the infect, but he also doesn't get the lockdown, so this Hammer Tank is taking so much damage. And again, Crane on the high ground for DDF may be a necessity, especially if he wants to make use of units like hammer tanks with upgrades. So nice control there by DDF, not going to let himself get trapped by those tsunami tanks. And again, a couple of tsunami tanks out on the field, not a big deal, but you don't want to let those numbers swell too much. And again, we'll have to keep an eye on the tech of Dimon when it goes down, and when it gets deployed, rather, goes down is kind of a not the right term there. This is a tightly packed super reactor. So we got an airfield, a couple of MiGs going to be added on, but the 4th refinery up and running. It's fully operational. And the Tengu does go down all the way over there. Death animation leading it into the middle of DDF space. And this Defender VX is going to get a lot of damage taken out of it, a lot of its health going down before it actually gets blocked by the wall there. And this hammer tank with that Bullfrog upgrade, something to keep in mind, but only the one for now. No opportunities to grab a second Bullfrog upgrade for those hammer tanks, at least not at the current moment. And all the way in the north at Tengu, going to be going for the harass. He is going to be able to see, ooh, this is a fully functioning expansion. There's all sorts of stuff going on here. And this, actually, it's going to be 2 Tengus going to be going for the transform. And they might want to pack themselves in a little bit closer because certainly Twin Blades are going to be on the defense. And yeah, 1 Twin Blade, I guess. Twin Blades is kind of a generous term. But 1 Twin Blade going to be getting the kill on that Tengu. And actually, we'll get the Tengu that is kind of far away from the Harvester. So no honorable discharge on the unit, but honorable discharge splash damage on the structures. The Bear now moving into that position to try and block more actively that water expansion. Harvester gets back to work, but at about half health. So potential for a further exploit of, although, lovely 5th refinery up and now running with the Naval Yard going to be able to block that in. So fully up and operational. DDF good with the economy, and also going to be keeping an eye on the fact that he's getting cleared out over there. MiG's going to be showing up to guard this Twin Blade, and also a Stingray going to be overcharging there just to push these tsunami tanks back. So even a reactor being used to wall in this ore refinery. Although, no, it's just a temporary wall. He's going to get himself back up to normal by canceling that reactor. All right, Nanotech mainframe. He has bought himself some time. He's got his wall swag going on in the middle of the map. And, you know, he never got his 4th refinery up and running, but that's okay. Dimon is feeling good. Going to be forced to sell off that reactor because those satellites are coming in. So almost gets the kill on the oil derrick, and the Twin Blades are going to be coming back in, fire off a couple of rockets, and then try and get the kill on this oil derrick, and they do indeed get it. So very annoying there. MiG's going to be keeping those Twin Blades safe. And although, nope, no crane over here either. So no repairs out on the map, at least not at the current moment. Stingray still going to be keeping that 5th refinery happy, 5th harvester healthy. And still low power mode. Very unfortunate for Dimon, just now going to be going off of the low power mode, as he's been potentially getting up to tier 3, but with the double production time, getting up to tier 3 takes forever. A literal eternity, and of course by literal, I mean figurative eternity, because why would he use the word literal in a literal sense? Stingray going to be heading over to that potential water expansion, but Dimon never got it up and running. He has been banking so hard on getting his tier 3 out, going up to potential Wave Force artilleries, King Oni as well, and I mean, he's got a lot of stuff knocking on his door, but as long as he keeps rebuilding walls, he can buy himself more and more and more time. Ooh, DDF trying to be annoying there, trying to pack a couple of Stingrays into that base and go for the power plant. And it doesn't even matter because Dreadnoughts are here to even things up. And people do complain about Dreadnought rockets being slow, but guess what doesn't move very fast at all? Buildings. And when your opponent has Dreadnoughts, oh, this Wave Force artillery steps too close and totally gets annihilated. And no, he wasn't dead just yet, but the writing was on the wall. Dimon was going to have a heck of a time trying to break out of the front door, and the fact that he didn't beat his opponent to tier 3, he didn't beat his opponent to artillery, and he lost another refinery when he was already down 5-3. It spelled doom and disaster, even though Dimon was not technically dead. And you know, you got to hand it to him. He knew that from that position, his chance of victory was like 0.1%. And that means DDF has evened us up 2-2 in this best of 5, taking us to the ace match for this series. Which one of these guys will move on to the grand finals? Which one of these guys will drop down to the losers bracket final? Let's find out in game number 5. Which is on Temple Prime, a map that I love to see, but I definitely understand why generally people don't like playing it. On the left side, evening things up in style, this is DDF. On the right side, looking to reclaim his spot as the leader in this series, this is Dimon. Man, thinking about this series, such a back and forth. In one game, Dimon totally in control, a total master of just destruction. In the next game, DDF in control, pushing Dimon to the limits and making Dimon look like he doesn't know what he's doing. A back and forth with these guys, a back and forth series in each of the games with their own back and forth elements. These two, they are very, very close to evenly matched. I think historically Dimon might be the better player, but in this series, history doesn't matter because these two are toe-to-toe in every single way. And I mean, once Dimon powered up in game number 2, I thought it was going to be a slaughter because Dimon was looking commanding without a doubt. Games 2 and 3, Dimon was in control. Game 4, Dimon was looking like he was in a pretty good shape, and then he just couldn't get anything started. His endgame plan never came to fruition. North and South oil derricks do get split evenly. These two guys are going to be able to get themselves one each, and that is very irritating to have to deal with. An Empire player setting up a dojo inside of your main base kind of an area, and even an extra dojo just to grab this oil derrick. And then, I mean, you know, hey, if you're feeling good, then gonna drop an extra dojo and, you know, maybe produce something out of it if you feel like you can get an advantage that way. Couple of burst drones going to be popping on out. Dimon going to be keeping eyes on that MCV, and keep in mind it was War Factory last. So, like we saw on Fire Island, 2 refinery, super reactor after that, and then War Factory last. So no early control for Dimon. And Dimon not actually going for the cap. He says, nope, not going to go for that. Instead, just going to go for the kill of that oil derrick. Kind of DDFing the situation. DDF in the north, instead going to be going for the single flak trooper, going for the DPS on that oil derrick. So they're going to kill each other's oil derricks, but keep in mind the 3rd refinery up and running for Dimon. He delayed his mecha bay to get that up and going. And keep in mind that also those dojos are not free. Ooh, that, you're supposed to kill that over there. I mean, I realize that flak troopers are not always the best units in the game, but you are supposed to kill that. He did move his flak trooper away so that he would not die when the oil derrick explodes, so we can forgive him for that. Bear is going to go down, but there are 3 bears going to be the reinforcements, 4 bears even as reinforcements, and of course he's hoping to get tank busters out, but the bears are so close, which means the tank busters can turn the tide of this hammer tank engage, and actually these bears are going to be surrounding that Tengu. So no, the Tengus have not used their honorable discharge to try and clear the field of bears. Such a weird back and forth when the bears are the things trying to avoid the honorable discharge. 3rd Tengu out, and this may be enough to... Nope, none of the bullfrogs here is not enough to swing things back into the favor. He is pushing the bears away, which is good enough, and he may have to actually sacrifice this Tengu to get the kill on the bear. This is a low enough health bear that the tank busters can deal with. They don't even have to because the Tengu is able to get the kill, and now it's just going to be tank buster micro versus hammer tank micro, and the tank busters can keep the Tengus on the ground, which means the bullfrog doesn't necessarily factor into it, but that Tengu tried to escape in possibly the worst way possible. He was like on top of that bullfrog when he went for the transform. There is no way that is ever going to work out in favor of our Empire player, but 3rd refinery up and running for DDF. It's on the high ground. It's not out on the water. He's still producing more hammer tanks from there, and he hasn't really had to deal with these Imperial warriors because he's got walls all the way around, well, at least one of his refineries. Second one adding on some walls as well. Now keep in mind, we've got a sudden transport. It has been spotted by that terror drone. Hey, lovely, never mind. I was going to say a lovely way to save that Terror Drone from the Tengus, but actually they get the kill when it gets fired out of that Bullfrog, and the Hammer Tank down to low HP, but it is still here, and of course, I assume Dimon is going to keep those Tank Busters inside of that sudden transport alive. If he can get a little Tank Buster surprise, that could be a good way to kill a couple of those Hammer Tanks very, very quickly. But for now, the sudden transport not disguising itself as anything, just going to be turning around and running home. These Hammer Tanks are so low on HP that even engaging a couple of Imperial Warriors would put them even closer to death. Hammer Tank going to be healing up with the Leech Beam on that civilian structure, and then these other Hammer Tanks going to be taking a little bit of DPS from those guys. Okay, I had to make sure for a second that that wasn't a sudden transport disguised as an MCV. Sometimes we do see that. I believe C9Q9MD, a player who sometimes will build like 50 sudden transports and disguise them all as an MCV, so he just has a million MCVs running around the map. 4th refinery going to be coming up in short order for DDF, and it's already up and operational for Dimon, so they're going to be on that equal 4 refinery economy, but Dimon once again leading in this game. He's even got the Defender VX up and running, and in this case, it's not being leached down by the Hammer Tanks before it's even up and operational. Now, ooh, these Tank Busters. No more Tank Busters going to be joining this as soon as these toxins drop. It's going to be just these 3, but they're completely out of range, which means they're safe, which means they can actually jump on these Hammer Tanks and do some damage. Bears getting caught behind the Hammer Tanks, which means it's a little bit of free damage for these Tank Busters, and unfortunately for Dimon, he does have to deal with those. Well, the Terror Drone is really the more clear and present danger as the Bears come in for the kill, but he's not going to be able to get it. Instead, the Tsunami Tanks getting caught by the toxins, taking a little bit of damage as they spawn, as they try and get to the front line. And these Tank Busters desperately trying to do something. The Bears trying to stay out of range of that Defender Core, but now more Imperial Warriors or Tank Busters can be produced by Dimon to try and even the odds, and the Tank Busters go on the other side, going for the snipe, going for the kill, the little bit of surprise coming in over there. Hammer Tank's now going to be trying to re-engage, but now it's 3 Tsunami Tanks on the front line, so the Terror Drone is not as big of a deal. Locking down only one of those Tsunami Tanks, it doesn't even matter because there are so many more Tsunami Tanks to try and push this attack away, and that, well, the Tank Buster is going to be forced to kill their own sudden transport. They do get the kill on the Terror Drone, and now they're going to try and split up against these Bears, so the Bears can't kill them all at once, although one of them will go down, and with perfect micro, like in a kind of micro mini-game, you can potentially hide one of the Tank Busters and then get a little bit of damage on the Bear, and if it moves to try and get the kill, then you just hide that guy again and unhide a different Tank Buster. Little game of whack-a-mole, as these Terror Drones are going to be potentially going out for some kills. They're going to be potentially hitting these water expansions. It looks like Dimon is paying attention, at least at the current moment, and Terror Drone over here. Tengu looking for the kill, hunting. And for now, DDF isn't going to commit to the attack. Tsunami Tank's taking a little bit of damage from this civilian structure, from whatever is inside of it, and it looks like a single Tengu harass on the left side of the map. This Tengu going to be trying to push away that Terror Drone, going to be getting locked down by it, and eventually this Tesla coil will finish. They do take forever to actually finish, and that Tank Buster once again trying to play whack-a-mole with the Bear, not actually really doing anything there, and Harvester is in probably the maximal position, the best position to avoid the splash damage from that. Oh, no, he's not actually going to kill it, so he's not actually going to worry about the splash damage from honorable discharge. Terror Drone does go down in the south, and the Tank Buster Surprise, the manual version of the Tank Buster Surprise, finally being dealt with, handing away heroic veterancy to that conscript, potentially just to get transformed and killed, as this last Tank Buster is trying to be effective, and Dimon wants him to be effective. He's trying to kill those Bears. Hammer Tech driving forward almost gets splashed by the honorable discharge as well, but man, these Tank Busters have been such an annoyance for DDF. Nanotech mainframe up in a very curious position, in a position that actually is kind of like a SimCity kind of position to create a little bit more difficulty in case Hammer Tanks are going for crushes in this base. This entire base is just like built around difficulty for crushing and trying to make the opponent's army work a little bit more work a little bit harder. I don't know what that bullfrog was doing there. That was I was going to say a huge mistake, but it's like one bullfrog. So potentially it's a huge mistake, but there haven't been a lot of Chopper VXs in this game. He's going for tier 3, so it's probably going to be Wave Force Artillery, King Oni, something like that. But ooh, these infantry. No, they do pull out in time. And actually this pair may end up getting caught by the edge of that Toxins. And actually he's going to sell off the nanotech mainframe immediately, so he does catch vision of that. You know, there is going to be a naval yard out here on the water, so there is always the potential of shoguns, but not when you sell off the nanotech mainframe like that. He's got his tier 3 on his mecha bay. That's all he cares about. Dimon now going to be moving north. He's got a couple of Imperial Warriors, a bunch of tank busters mixed in with this Wave Force Artillery, but the brunt of his army is going to be Tengus. Tengu's out on the field. King Oni following up after that, and a Chopper VX after that. Always good to get a bit of damage done, but no, this Wave Force Artillery, a gift to the hammer tanks as the bears rush forward. One good roar does not an army make, but these tank busters will all die to it. Big transform in the main base. No, it's not actually a big transform. It's camping over MiGs, and I always like camping, but not when it's over MiGs. Now keep in mind, Desolator Airstrike was already used, so it's going to be on cooldown for the next minute or two, and I guess this Harvester is just going to be taking a little bit of damage. Bullfrog coming back home to force the transform, to force those Tengus to get on out of there. They can't wait for the MiGs forever up in the skies, but actually this Bullfrog is just going to die. That's the result of that. DDF gifting Bullfrogs away. He does have the crane on the high ground there, so always the opportunity for repairs. Doesn't have to just use the leech beam for that. Tengu's going to be getting targeted down by a flak trooper in that structure. Also this twin blade, and they can't transform because of the MiGs. Up to those 5 refineries is DDF. Dimon just hanging out on those 4. Never took his on the high ground. Completely untouched. This is a scary, scary army, but also a pretty fragile army. Keep in mind, 2 terror drones lock down the King Onis. 1 hammer tank gets a nice crush when they're all in a column like that. Or Desolator Airstrike, if he's lucky, he could actually nab some serious infantry units with that. So this army is scary, but it is defeatable by DDF. He does have an opportunity. Now this is going to be actually a hammer tank firing off with the Wave Force there, getting some good DPS on that King Oni, and that King Oni goes down. So the combination of Terror Drone and the Wave Force Artillery on the side of DDF able to eliminate one of the King Onis before this engagement really even begins. Keep in mind, Twin Blades could also come in here to try and even things up, but for now, this scary army is pushing forward, and it's been very well handled by Dimon. He's not going to try and engage in a unfavorable kind of situation, and DDF has bled units, a few to the Wave Force Artillery. He's going to try and dive on the Wave Force Artillery. He will get the kill there, which does kind of bring things back into DDF's favor if he can force the engagement over long distances, but Dimon is just marching on forward. If you don't have distance, you can't fight this army. Barracks going to be going down on the front line potentially just to try and block, and there's a nice grab of that King Oni with the Terror Drone all the way in the south here, and the Hammer Tanks trying to do what they can. They get the kill on the King Oni, but this is so many tank busters. He needs to close the distance to be able to get the crushes, but he simply can't. Not with the forces that he has. Even the Twin Blade's going to be going down to the Tengus, and this is just a slaughter by Dimon. But the bear does get a tremendous roar there, so if he can do something about these Chopper VXs, which currently he can't do anything about the Chopper VXs, but if he could maybe have wasted that infantry army, but it is all but over for DDF as Dimon wastes the production facilities of his opponent. The Chopper VX is unanswered in the sky, and the super reactor targeted down by the tank busters. DDF has been defeated, and Dimon will walk into the grand finals as our first player in that final best of 7. Will it be a rematch with DDF? Potentially some more SVE action, or will it be against one of the guys in the lower bracket? I don't actually know who's still in the lower bracket, but we are going to find out in a series coming out It'll probably come out tomorrow if you are watching this on the day that it comes out, but that will do it for this series. What a great showcase by these two guys. They both played tremendously. They both had flaws and faults, but they both showed some good games, and congratulations to Dimon for his 3-2 victory over DDF. Keep an eye, well, actually, if you're not watching this on the day it comes out, then go watch the next series. It's already out. So this is Sybert, signing out.